favorite scene in Skin and Bones was the scene where Max first sees Liz after she's come back from Florida for the summer. I thought that there was something really great about the way she looked when you sort of through Max's point of view. There was this great awkwardness between the two of them, watching them see each other for the first time and knowing that they both had all these feelings for each other but had to cover them. And I thought that there was something very poignant about that scene for me. I mean, it's interesting how you do an episode and there's a big storyline where the bones are dug up, and then also, of course, Macedo being killed at the end of it. The reason why we made that choice to do that, although I love that character, was because we felt that it would put our main cast in a more difficult situation to have to sort of deal with who their enemies were and what they were about without having a protector.
The challenge I felt stepping into this episode was to make Tess a legitimate player in Max's life, to acknowledge the fact that she's disliked by the other characters.
I did not like the way she was looking at him.
And by extension, a good chunk of the audience, simply because, the Max-Liz relationship is so strong and so central to the entire series, and then when Tess was brought in late last season, you don't want to like her. I mean, I think that's easy. You don't want to embrace this newcomer who seems to be upsetting, the magic of Liz and Max, but there she is. And so this seemed like the opportunity to say, well, look, she's got her own problems, and she's vulnerable, and she knows that she's disliked, and yet what else is she going to do? And this man that guided her entire life is suddenly dead, and she's cast aside, no one cares about her, and Max starting to feel guilty. I really liked the scene where he finds her in the park, and then he walks her home. I kind of always thought that was going to be a great opportunity to bring Tess into the fold and make her a little more part of the Roswell family than I think she was. She's always going to sort of be the outsider because she came late to the party, but it seemed like a good opportunity to embrace her in some ways.
Alright, so episode 3, which is commonly known as the striptease episode, apparently. Although there was a lot of other stuff that went down. I was warned ahead of time that I was going to have to do a striptease, and the powers that be had sent me a CD asking me if it was something I liked, and I said, you want to know what, if I'm going to striptease, I had to be comfortable with the music, and the music that they had originally picked was something that I couldn't really dance to. It would have been a more slow sort of thing, which would have just been really, really hard and embarrassing. And basically, I just got to dance. I didn't really choreograph anything. I didn't have specific moves. The only thing the script really said was that I had to slap my ass. That was the only, specific thing, so I knew that would probably be, the climax. So I just went for it, It wasn't really something that I wanted to do. It was something that I was actually sort of not looking forward to doing at all. But, it ended up being really cool because Katie and Jason would just start laughing hysterically. So then I said, okay, well, let me just try and make it as ridiculous as possible. So I tried to make Alex quasi a good dancer, but not really. I wanted him to sort of be flailing a little bit, so he flailed. Because that's one of those things where you're just like, dude, you just gotta go for it, you just gotta dance. I actually hurt my shoulder doing it, if you could believe it or not. Ripping your clothes off is actually kind of dangerous. And for all you inquisitive people, I was not really wearing a G-string, that was just the line. The thong was nowhere to be seen. That's not my forte. I'm a boxer's man myself.
This is our first episode, and from the very beginning, everybody was so on board. It was so exciting to work on a show where everybody's so enthusiastic. First of all, it looked like it was going to be a completely over-budget, very expensive, impossible episode to shoot. And I don't even know if you can tell when you watch the episode, but Parker's bar is the Crashdown, completely redressed. Rosemary's apartment was Michael's apartment, completely redressed.
All of the base work was done on the back lot of Paramount. All of the airplane hangars are actually sound stages. And Sheriff Valenti's office was actually the Army office
It was
as well.
Cassidy's office, yeah.
Cassidy's office.
So they completely readjust that as well. And then it was so funny, they kept talking about that crash site, where they're like, oh, just so you know, it's gonna not probably be what you were thinking about. They kept downselling it, and finally when we saw the dailies, we were like, this is fantastic, what are you talking about? It was great.
Yeah, and it was fun also once the episode aired to go on the boards and actually see that the audience was digging it, and they actually...
we were terrified.
We were really scared, but it was so
like...
nice that they really got it, and they got what we were trying to do, and they really understood the parallels.
So with that, we decided we're not going to write any more episodes of Roswell. That's our first and our last, so... No, we're kidding.
People can't handle the truth. You think I got little green men in my locker? Am I hiding them? You want to check my pockets? Nick Wexler plays my father, Grandpa Valenti, as a young deputy in 1947. And I play the colonel who's covering up this big mess. What the hell's going on here?
Wasn't that amazing for my age?
Yeah. I don't know. I've been around here all day. Ain't nothing happened. Get the camera.
Hey, you put one scratch in that lens and I have Bill and Uncle Sam.
You know what? You put one scratch in that lens and turn it around to him.
You put one scratch in that lens and we are Bill and Uncle Sam.
Right now, deputy.
What?
This is Oreo.
Welcome back before Colonel. Damn, that's you.
I'm the colonel. Yeah.
How you doing?
Don't let the expression on my face fool you about the joy that's going on the inside. But yes, I'm having a good time. This is a good episode. Hey, pull back just a little bit, fellas.
Roll sound, please.
Rolling.
Hey, Judy, what's my favorite line? Judy.
I'm not taking no for an answer.
Okay, thank you.
And really yell it out, will you? And action.
I am not taking no for an answer. This is the U.S. Army. Someone is always in charge.
And
Background.
background. Action.
Hi, everybody. I like to hug everybody. Let's big hug. Hug. Ooh.
Quiet, please. Here we go.
I think it plays into the fantasy that we have of wanting to know what your future would have been if you had made a different choice. I think we all want to know that.
I mean, those ideas have been done in other formats, but I never, I think, to this degree where we can take two characters that we've got to know over an entire season and to jump forward 14 years and think how wonderful their life became, with one exception, that ultimately it was the demise of everything.
It's one little problem.
But it was good up until that point. But when you take this character that's, I think was like 30 years old, to come back and watch this girl that he fell in love with, to see all the little small things that she did that made him fall in love with her. And there's a certain melancholy about it to have to say goodbye to that.
Future Max, one way or the other, he's screwed. Whether he's able to get Liz to make Max fall in love or not, Future Max still has nowhere to go to. So it's very poignant from that side of it. And then from Liz's side of it, she's looking at the future that she'll never have. This future that's her fantasy and dream, to be with Max, her one true love, and she's forced to realize that she can never have that future, but she's able to glimpse it and to hear about it from the source. And then for present day Max, to watch that moment when he finds Liz and Kyle together, even though we know it's all been set up to happen, the moment when he sees them, it's just heartbreaking to watch it happen to him. To me, I love it because it kind of works on all these different levels. I remember this moment of watching it in the editing room, and I was at the end of the episode when you sort of are going back between future Max with Liz on the rooftop and Max with Tess on the bench, and I realized that I had bought into the idea that there were two Maxes. I thought it was so amazing that I had been caught up in the illusion of it, since obviously I had written the episode and was literally in the trailer with Jason Behr when we were coming up with what he was going to look, what the future version of Max was going to look like. I think the fact that I sort of had forgotten it was one person playing both roles shows what a great job that Jason did.
I think Jason's being a bit modest when he says stuff like that, because all of my favorite episodes have been the ones that he writes, I think, most because when I read them, that's the easiest for me to decipher. It's not so much that he's thinking about things, well, this would lead to this or this would lead to that. I think that he leads with his heart, and he writes with his heart about feelings and about emotions. And an episode like End of the World, when I read that, I felt everything as I was reading it. I knew exactly how I wanted to do things. When he was talking about the dance.
We eloped. We were 19.
You were 19? Wow, that is so young. That is too young.
That's what I said. But you said that Romeo and Juliet were even younger than us. So we drove to Vegas. Got married at the Elvis Chapel. Congratulations, kids.
So we didn't have a real wedding.
Oh, we had a great wedding. We called Maria, Michael, Isabel, and Alex and had them meet us halfway. We spent the whole night singing and dancing in some dive outside Phoenix. Oh, we danced.
And there wasn't any other way that I could deliver that. The very first time I read that, I knew that's how it had to be done.
Some of the stuff that was most fun to write for the episode was Michael Maria and the Michael Maria Courtney, that whole storyline. Someone, I don't remember if it was Ron or Jason, came up with the idea of a shrine in Courtney's apartment, which I thought was a fantastic idea. So when I was actually writing the scene of Michael and Maria's angry at Michael at this point, so she's giving him a very hard time. But as they're going through the apartment and looking at things, Maria leaves the room and we hear her scream from the next room. And Michael comes running in. We don't know what to expect. She throws up in the closet and there's this shrine. And it was a good scene on paper. But then they made it even more interesting in production by turning out all the lights and giving those two flashlights. So you got kind of an X-Files thing going on. And they ended up playing the closet in the same room and looking out at Maria through the slats of the closet. We don't know what we're seeing, but it's kind of scary and a little mysterious. And then again, off screen, you suddenly hear her shriek. And it turned into a moment that was both scary and funny and got you to the next moment story-wise. When you can do that, that's the best. When we were watching the cut, I said something about, it looks so X-Files-y with those flashlights. I wish we could have them say something jokey. And because the director had selected a take in which Maria comes in giggling, I think Ron suggested that we hear them off camera before they come in, make some remark that Maria say something about, I feel like Mulder and Scully. And that's what they did.
Well, first thing was the physical appearance. That kind of sets the mood depending on what you look like. If you feel you look mean, if you feel others will perceive you to be mean, then it's a lot easier to play. So the mohawk and the tattoos and the chains and the leather and the big boots, that kind of sets the stage. So you can walk out of the trailer just really feeling it. The second part would be the dialogue. You combine the look with the dialogue, and after that, you basically just make little decisions yourself here and there. I'm still inhibited in some ways in terms of playing a character to its fullest, because you really put yourself out there, and if you put yourself out completely and it sucks, you feel really awful because that you gave it the most you had and you still suck. It's almost like not wanting to do something because you don't want to fail. The first episode, I didn't think I was good in at all. I thought I really sucked, and it was because I was trying to do a New York accent. I'm terrible at accents, number one, so I didn't know what I was doing.
I didn't know you had a brother.
I live in New York. So then by the second episode of The Dupes, we were told through talks with the producers and the speech coach that we did have on set, and just through seeing the first episode, it wasn't so much of the accent, it was an attitude you had to give off, that you were cool, that you were punk, and it didn't matter what kind of accent you really threw out there. Because I'd been to New York, and not everyone speaks like, New York, blah, 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 Some people just spoke like I did. I don't know what accent that is, just, I don't want to say English because people in the South are going, no, we speak English down here. No, I'm not going to do a Southern accent. But yeah, I just realized it was more about attitude, and sometimes it takes a little while to kind of find the character, and I figured if I was going to look stupid, I might as well look stupid going the whole way because I might pull something I didn't know out of me. It gave me a chance to play a completely different character and see if I could pull it off. And I think for beyond playing the boyfriend or the cool guy or anything, playing an actual character that's really not Brendan Fair. It was the first time I had done it. So I gave it a shot, and I thought I did a lot better in the second episode. I thought I was almost good.
It's a very, very simple story. It's, in a way, much simpler than a lot of the stories that we tell on Roswell. It's like a lot of times you see on television, they promo episodes saying a very special episode of, and I never knew what that meant. Yeah, I never knew what that meant. I like the fact that it's a story about helping somebody else, and it has nothing to do with protecting their own asses as aliens. I like the fact that it's about Max being confronted with this moral dilemma.
The idea of God and science and how they don't really necessarily blend very well. I think Max says that he doesn't believe in God. I don't think he says that to be a blatant atheist or just to be a slap in the face of religion. It's just for himself, because of who he is or what he is. I think that he has so many more questions than he has answers. And
I almost think, too, that he wishes he did believe in God.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think it's his perspective on it.
The idea of somebody having this gift, this awesome power to heal people, are you disrupting some sort of grand scheme, this master plan that somebody has out there, or have you become a part of the plan despite yourself? It's a powerful notion, I think, and this huge responsibility of who are you to decide who lives and who dies? I mean, how do you actually make that choice?
How do you each perceive the ending when Max takes Liz's hand?
That moment to me seems like a transcendent moment. It's the gift that he gives her. It's him thanking her for being there for him and being a friend. And it's not a moment about them getting back together as boyfriend and girlfriend. It's beyond that.
I thought it was the cue for the snow to fall. That's what I thought it was. I say my line about I believe in you and then the snow falls. That's what I thought.
Right.
No, I'm just kidding. I thought that so I'm just reading the script and I'm going, and snow in Roswell, yes. Okay. No, I thought that moment was so much more about the evolution of Max as a character and his relationship to Liz and his relationship to his family, and it was so much more than just saying, yeah, we're back together now. I believe in you. Let's live happily ever after. It was more about without you, I couldn't become the person that I am now. And I think that throughout the season, no matter what has happened, good or bad, it's made these people who they are. And I think that's the way it is with life in general, is that the choices that we make in our lives and the people that we know help us in one way or another be the people that we are. And I think at that moment he was just sort of thanking her for helping open his eyes to a completely different world.
Right. I mean, it's funny that you're saying that because he's able to go to her even with everything that they've been through.
He has some sort of sane voice, some sort of reasoning, and I think that the person that he trusts the most is Liz.
Yeah.
With who knows him better, I think, than anybody.
Right.
But I think more than anything, it was just about being human and being mature and being alive.
Talk about Dan Lubeck.
Yeah.
Okay. One personal joy that I got out of writing this episode, it's stupid, but you take it where you can get it, is naming characters after my friends. And Lori Dupree is a good friend of mine who I met in Nashville, Tennessee. And Dan Lubeck, who plays the evil police officer who ultimately takes Valenti's badge away from him, is my old roommate. And Dan and I lived together for about 2 years. And whenever I was writing sample scripts, I would always throw Dan's name in there somehow, and he would always be the bad guy. So it was a real joy that I was able to throw his name in as the guy who strips Valenti's badge from him. It's interesting, one of the first notes that the network had about my story was they said, we love this idea But the one thing we're not sure is this guy, Dan Lubeck. That doesn't sound like a cop name to us. And the script had other problems that the network had, but they sort of forgot about Dan Lubeck, and so his name stayed in the script, and he was in that episode and the following episode as well.
Well, first of all, Devin's great. He's really, really nice and really low-key. And I think that the whole Sean DeLuca thing is probably the best thing that's happened this season, especially, I mean, at least regarding to my character, because I think it's about time that Liz Parker experiences something else, because how else is she supposed to know what else is out there in the world? I think that her spending so much time with Max and all that chaos has sort of robbed her of a lot of her childhood, and Sean sort of brings that playfulness back into her life, and you see her smile and laugh and giggle and enjoy herself again, even if it's in an indirect sort of way. At least she's not caught up in a world that's tainted by unrealistic things. It's kind of sweet because it's nice that she's attracted to someone that's so opposite from Max, and I think it's every time someone gets into a different relationship, a different side of their personality comes out. So I think that a stronger Liz Parker is coming out, someone that's more confident, and I think that they sort of let go of the whole Max thing and sort of think about Liz's goals in life and what she needs, and they'll love Sean DeLuca. Because he's great. We love him here.
It's nice to not be the uptight authoritarian every minute. He gets in so much trouble, his focus goes within. Now he's got to save his own butt, and he becomes introspective because life is in shambles. As he says at one moment, he's in a dark place that he's got to work himself out of. Like everybody, he's got problems, and that's always great stuff for actors to play. That makes him interesting. It makes him fun. It's funny though, because I've spent, I don't know, I've done maybe 15 or 16 movies, and in all of this time I've never really had a romantic entanglement. I'm always the villain, or it's boy meets girl, boy gets girl, boy dismembers girl. So this is a really nice change for me. This is a chance to do something a little more human, and be funny, and be vulnerable, and be in love, and get flustered, and all of those good things. So I'm digging it a lot. I like this direction. I like that he got pulled down off this authoritarian, uptight position as the sheriff. The whole arc of Valenti getting into trouble for helping the kids is it's great fun for me to play as an actor, because there are a couple of things going on at the same time. He's gone out on a limb to protect them, which he feels compelled to do because Max saved Kyle. I mean, he knows which side he's on, and he knows what will happen to them if they're uncovered. So they need someone to protect them. They need all the help they can get, and he knows that. But by lying, by covering up, by not being able to explain his actions to these investigators and the judge and what have you, it's begun to cost him. And I think that always makes for interesting drama. There's something at stake for him, and there's also something ironic that he's following in his father's footsteps. This is exactly what occurred to his dad for other reasons. They laughed him off the force because he believed in aliens and kept saying there were aliens out there, and he couldn't prove it, and they said, yeah, right. Well, you're not fit to be the sheriff, and I know they're aliens too, and can't explain my bizarre behavior. So it's been a great roller coaster ride for me.
It's supposed to be a Tess and Liz episode where Tess and Liz were supposed to switch bodies, and it was going to be kind of like a Freaky Friday, and they would learn more about each other. And while that was happening, we had thought of a runner where Max and Michael take his money and go off to Vegas. And so we pitched that episode to Jason, and what he really sparked to was the whole Vegas idea. And he said, well, if we're going to go to Vegas, why take two characters? Let's take all of them.
It also was a story about friendship, especially Max and Michael's friendship, and also get Liz and Tess closer together, just because Coming off the Hybrid Chronicles, there was a lot of emotion running high, and the staff felt like it was time to remind everybody and us why these people are friends, and just do a lighter episode and more of a bonding episode, and just people having a good time.
Yeah, there are a lot of things that we aren't ever able to address every week because we've always got like some threat coming in, and so there are things like, are Michael and Maria still together? And if so, what's their relationship like? And are Kyle and Alex friends? And how do the women on our show hang out together? And that kind of thing. So we felt like this was a good opportunity to see the other side of the relationships in a setting that has nothing to do with evil aliens coming in and trying to hurt our kids. It's more about how our kids interact as friends, which I think the audience also really likes to see.
And we like to see too.
We love crabs.
5-5.
I happen to know that the next time he throws, it's going to be a 7. And if you want to know why, it's because it's written right here. 7, winner. Right here. That's the next throw.
Now Michael rolls again. 7, winner, 7.
Yes!
Everybody loses on 0 and 00 unless you're betting.
Because you gotta, I mean, it's gotta go.
Well, there's only one of those like any other number. Just as much like we're playing on those. Anything else? No, yeah.
Are you serious? Yeah. I gotta roll it twice?
Yes.
No wonder the casinos win.
Part of mine was a difficult episode for me to write. I was having a lot of trouble, and I couldn't figure out why. And I realized at some point it was because, in a way, I didn't really want it to happen the way that it happens. It's an episode about Liz moving toward Sean and Max moving toward Tess. And I think I, myself, didn't really want that to happen. But I really wound up loving the episode so much, and I thought everybody did such a good job. It was directed beautifully and acted beautifully, and I thought that what I really liked about it was that even though Liz was moving away from Max and Max was moving away from Liz, that when you watch the episode, you sort of understand why. In one way, you don't want it to happen, just like they don't want it to happen, but in another way, you realize it's sort of this inevitable thing, and I thought that it just played to me as very real and very mature and very adult, and it was upsetting, but it was also very magical.
Do you find that all men are obsessive? I swear normally I don't care about my hair that much. Hey, she's videotaping me! This is the Switch episode where I play Brendan's character and Brendan plays my character. The best is when the camera isn't shooting and Brendan's just sitting there going, looking for his reflection and... Yeah.
He's the buckaroo.
That's me. Keep trying to get that buckaroo in. Just show him the photo. That's why she keeps saying our little buckaroo. Where's that afro kid? So you get this. Zoom in here. Zoom in on all my imperfections. There. A lot up here. My nose is always dry right there. I'm gonna go to the bathroom and go have a little talk with myself.
Cry Your Name is the episode, obviously, where Alex dies. And what happened was it started to become clear that Colin Hanks's career was beginning to blossom. He was getting offered more and more roles. And at some point, we just realized that as much as we love both Colin as an actor and Alex as a character, we just couldn't justify keeping him on the show since his character was always sort of relegated to very much a supporting player. So we decided to let him go, which was a very difficult decision to make, but I think ultimately best for Colin. And so then once we'd made that decision, the next question was, okay, how are we going to do this? And that's how the story for the episode Cry Your Name came about. And I think that the episode was incredibly successful, and I think it's by far one of the best episodes that we've done. Ron Moore wrote the script, and from the first draft of that script, it was just perfect. And the direction and the acting not only lived up to it, but sort of brought it all to another level.
One of my favorite episodes is when I come up to the door and say, like, okay, come on, kiss me. I'm trying to find my brother. I need to get a vision, and maybe it'll happen, so kiss me. And we kiss or whatever, and I turn around and walk away, and in the distance you hear him going, Dad, I hope you didn't eat my cornflakes. And he, shuts the door, and it was just the best. The best. We did learn a little dance routine for last season's dream episode. I remember like snippets of that, but I don't remember the whole dance.
No, neither do I.
Where are we going now?
I just remember the
Sway, 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 sway.
Yeah.
Ah, my boy, I love him. Yes, it's been a really emotional episode for many, many reasons, and I think most of which is that he's not coming back.
It's Too Late and It's Too Bad is the story where Max and Tess make love. It's an episode where Max is starting to accept the fact that he's an alien and embrace that side of himself. And I think that is what allows him to move forward with Tess as much as anything else. And that, to me, is what makes the storyline really complicated. I think that even though, while we might not be rooting for Max to be with Tess, when you watch the episode, you sort of understand everything that Max is going through and what he has been going through. I think it's just been really interesting to take these characters on this journey and to take them to places that we never expected them to go, and I don't think they ever expected them to go.